Hey everybody, how you doing? Hope everyone's having a good Wednesday. We made it to another week. How exciting. Thank you so much for coming by and hanging out. So let's see, we have Wendy, how are you? And Super Killer. Jeffrey, great to see you. This is really fantastic. Thank you so much for coming by. We are doing part 2 of this portrait in airbrush using India ink, as well as white. Rick is new to the ink flingers community. Congratulations, and thank you so much for joining us, Rick. Rick's starting a painting of a husky, if I'm not mistaken, or a wolf. Is it a wolf or a husky, Rick? It looks really good, by the way. So, how is the sound and the picture quality? Anything off? Is it good? Let me know. I don't want it to be, I want it to be really crisp, and I want the picture to be really, really good. So, Rick, the pleasure is all mine, that's for sure. So, normally I go right into it with the ink, but I'm actually, since Rick is new and we have some other people who are new coming by, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show... Oh, it's a wolf. Yeah, very nice. Raul, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. So glad you can make it. Thank you so much. Okay, so what we're going to do is when I go ahead and do my ink mixture, or my ink to water ratio, I always make sure I have the artwork far away. That's always a really good rule of thumb, that's for sure. And let's see if we can use this right here. See, I have my water, which is always important. Let's make sure that you guys can hear me. Yes, you can. So we have the water and we have our mixing cup. So what we're going to do is we're going to get out our India ink, the Higgins waterproof India ink, which is crucial. So we're going to do a 3 to 3 because we did a 3 to 4 mixture with the light part of this painting, establishing it. Now we're going to do a 3 to 3, so it's going to be 9 to 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we are going to go ahead and do 9 full ink droppers, the 3-inch ink droppers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You never get a full, so I always do an extra one just to make it close to the actual 9. All right. So we just mix it up here. Our artwork is far away because if it wasn't, this water right here would have been disastrous. So we always circumvent the problems by not being there in the first place. Always have paper towels around. Just wet that because we're going to put the artwork on top of it. And then over here we have our Sotar. And then what I'm going to do is just take a more precise eyedropper, and we're going to put 2 drops in. We'll move the water way out of the way. Put the ink over here. Make sure our surface is dry. And then we'll go back to here. Okay. You can drink out of the jar. I'm not sure how healthy it is. You know what's great about this Sotar, guys? Hey Heath, how you doing? And Kiva, so glad you're here. Is that I didn't even test this out. I just knew that the Sotar 2020 Slim was gonna do me good and not have any problems. That's a lot of confidence, I'll tell you. And I just want to make sure I'm not missing anybody to say hello. So Heath is great. Heath is here, and Kiva's been working like a maniac, doing some great things. So in the beginning, like last week, I basically just established some of the shapes by using White India ink. And that was by P.H. Martin, Bamboo White India ink. Very light, consistency between skim milk and milk. And went ahead, so I actually would go ahead and dilute that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sort of paint it again, right? Just reestablish some of those darks. And since we're so light, we have so much wiggle room, guys, to really make adjustments on the fly. But what I'm deciding is that I want to lose this side. See, right here we have a little bit of this plane here, but I want to do like a Caravaggio thing. So what I want to do is sort of just lose this edge into the background. That's what I want to do. And I think it just creates more mystery. For me, that's my decision. And then we can have the edge over here just sort of blend in here. And sort of that smoky sort of look. And as we go darker, things are going to actually come more into focus. The light's going to get lighter, the dark's going to get darker. The midtones are really going to pop. He says, "Hi Tim, I missed last week because the net was down." Oh wow, I'm so glad the net's back up. I almost go into a fetal position when my internet goes down. It's ridiculous. I am so, I don't know, my life is so revolved around the web and it's not good. Thanks so much for that, Wendy. And as Wendy said, we did mostly white last week with just a little tiny bit of that light mixture. You know what, Raul? I can't find the glove. I don't know where in the world it went. I had it for that one day, it was great, and now it's gone. I gotta buy another one. So guys, I've been learning this program called Krita, K-R-I-T-A, and it is a digital painting software. And I have one of those graphic tablets, and I'm trying to learn how to manipulate compositions before I paint, see how they look. And I'll definitely update you guys on that. Now I see a hard edge. When you guys are doing hard edges, always remember, this is my favorite freehand shield. I see a hard edge right here. Just want to make sure. See a freehand shield. I mean, I'm going to use a freehand shield to get the hard edge right there. You see that? There's just a slight hard edge. I mean, the value difference is not a lot, but there is a hard edge, and you can only get that with a freehand shield effectively. And you see, as we are working, we're establishing deeper values. So if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. Oh no. That's too funny. Let's see. So what was the white ink mixture? Keith says Martin's white, and find it gives some tip dry. It really does give a lot of tip dry. But this, I'm going to reproduce what I did, okay? just to help you guys out. It's more important than finishing the painting. So here is my white. Let's go back to this particular, yeah, Jeffrey says he has trouble with freehand shields. It's a while to get used to them, definitely. So let's go back here. So we have our white. You mix it up because it's not like, you know, it really does separate inside the jar. So what we're going to do is maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 drops, right? And it's really thick, and I wouldn't use that through the airbrush at all. So what I would do is, let me see if I could, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think 4 eyedroppers would be perfect. So let's say 4 drops of, maybe 5 eyedroppers, 4 drops of India ink, and between 4 just drops of water, not eyedroppers, 4 or 5 eyedroppers of water. And that will be the consistency we're looking for. See how it moves around? So it's pretty thin. And we'll go back here. So you can see it's pretty thin, almost like milk, I would say. And that would actually spray really well using your MAC valve and really lowering that air pressure. And that's how I got these real subtle lights. So we put the water back and we'll return to the painting demonstration. Yeah, white, Rick, Superkiller says white is the worst of all colors. Yeah, it is. It's a bloody mess, right? Wendy says, I think the white is a different animal. It certainly is. And with tip dry and stuff like that, it's probably the most temperamental color we're ever going to work with when airbrushing. So we have to basically prepare for it. Everything has to be worked around that blue shift. So what we're going to do is always make sure that the ink is dry, and then we're just going to lightly erase some of these pencil lines. And with this India ink mixture, we have a lot of ability to go ahead and do some subtractive detail. Okay, so we have that, and let's just go ahead and continue working. Remember, when you first spray, you always want to test your spray on a test sheet. You never want to do that on your actual artwork. That would be a disaster. Okay. And I'm just never oversaturate the surface. Always make sure you hit it and then move on. So never stay in that surface, never be stationary. Keep moving, don't go over it again until it gets dry. James, how you doing? Good to see you. I'm so glad you got it to work and so glad you came, man. Thank you. So we have a nice healthy group today. Healthy number. So that makes me feel good. The word is spreading, and we have the Ink Flingers on Facebook, that really great Facebook group, which you guys are great. I just love seeing your artwork. I get so inspired. So with this 2020 Slim by Badger, you can see I can just be really confident and get some really, look at the detail. I'm actually just going in and just moving around, and like I said before, let's go ahead and do some freehand shielding. Now with the nostril, it is a really hard edge, so you really want to hit that. See that? You want to really get that hard edge. And then once we have that hard edge, there's a soft edge where the nostril sort of fades out to the Cupid's bow. That's this thing right here. Don't feel bad. I didn't know what that was until a couple of months ago. One of my students told me. I know that's not the technical. I think it's called a fulcrum, but Cupid's bow is what most people call it. I would always say that thing over there. You see how we create. Now we're still going very, very light. Let's go ahead and see if we could blow that up a little bit. See, we're still very light, but with that freehand shield, I was able to go ahead and get that really beautiful hard edge, which you really wouldn't be able to get to otherwise. So let's do the same here. So I really like this using the DSLR. This way I can, rather than a webcam, I'm actually able to do stuff like this, which is, you know, better for you guys to see. See that? Now we got a nice hard edge. And then we need the hard edge on the other side. And the thing to always remember, I know it's a simple thing, but it took me a while, is to always spray, always cover what you don't want to be sprayed. There we go. And what we're going to do, and I think we're out of ink, but before we go ahead and reload with the ink, what I can do is just lightly blend that up. Now that's not as dark as it's going to be. Oh man, Rick said he bent the needle on his Sotar. That's horrible. But thank God it's not a micron. That would cost you about 40 bucks. So I think the Sotar is what, like 12 bucks, Rick? I'm really, that's really horrible, man. That's such a bummer, you know? On my micron, I bent my needle I would say since the summer 3 times. Wow, it's no fun. And once you do it, you're like, oh my God. $18, that's not bad. Now, if you go on usaairbrush.com and use my code TimothyPSA, you'll get 10% off that needle. So that's not a bad savings. So remember, usaairbrush.com, and if you use the code TimothyPSA, you get 10% off, which is not bad. And that's just for my Ink Flingers community. Which you're a part of now, which is really cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go back up. So we have that. Thank you, Wendy. I appreciate that. So Wendy put the code up for you guys in case you want it. Now that's anything, not just the Sotar items, anything that you'd like to purchase. So I'm going to quickly reload my 2 drops into my Sotar. No more than that couple of drops, because there's really no cover, and we're working on a vertical surface, so on a horizontal surface, so we don't want to spill our ink on there. Thank you so much for that, Wendy. Always first couple of sprays when you reload, never on the artwork, ever. Yeah, that Sharpen Air sounds really good, so I plan on picking one up one of these days, maybe doing a review. So maybe a review, and maybe we can get like a special deal on them if we do it on this channel. So that's what I'm going to try and do. We got to get something out of it, right? So we might as well get a good deal if we could all... did they raise the price on the Sotar? What is it now, Raul? Now, What's blurry? Is it this part or the whole thing? Because my stream seems okay. I don't think there's anything going. Is anyone else seeing a blur right now? It might be your internet connection, Wendy. Sometimes that happens. And let's go ahead and just test our focus. Okay, so we're in focus. 116. Oh, great! But with Timothy PSA, you get that 10% off, and that really lowers the price to like 105. So, so definitely use that if you're going to get one, Raul. And I use it all the time. I mean, this is my go-to airbrush now, and I got a whole. You guys see blurred too? Okay, Rick says it's clear. Okay, it could be just the internet connection. Wow, okay. It's not on this side, guys, so I'm not sure. I'm going to very quickly. Super Killer says it looks good. I think it might be your settings, guys. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly check on my tablet. And so, here's my tablet. And let me go to Facebook, YouTube actually. Oh, okay, yeah. So it must have been your guys. It must have been the actual resolution. So everything's looking really good by me. I think. What? Oh yeah, everything's really clear as you can see. So okay, cool. So change your settings, guys, and we should all be nice and clear. It's important that you guys all get the most out of this. So that's why I always take that seriously. So here we have an edge, but it's not too hard. It's actually a little bit on the soft side. We can always make it harder. And remember, you always want to work in 3 dimensions, right? You always want to get lighter and darker. You want to use the, pull back on more paint, more ink, get closer. To lighten up, go further away. So you want to paint in 3 dimensions. So as you can see, we're just pulling her out from the background on this side. On this side, we're sort of blending her in. And we're going to do some light indications of her hair here and there. But just artistically, we're just using our artistic license to make some changes, to make it a little more what my vision of this piece is. So Wendy says it's 116.30, then you get the 10% off products, so that's good. So Rick, you would love the Sotar Slim. You would really, I'm telling you, it is, like I said, I'm starting a live stream. I just knew it would work. I wouldn't do that with the Iwatas. I would have to test it, because you never know, right? I mean, Iwatas are great, but you don't know each day when you start whether you're going to have to fix them. That's really the truth. So with this Sotar, I have all the confidence in the world. So right now I'm just lightly doing the eye. Yeah, now Wendy says she likes the idea of the Sotar Slim, but she's not too happy without the cup. And that's a very, very valid concern, because the cup, you have a lot of paint, and you just know that you can put a cover on it, And that's comforting, right? That's for sure. But, okay, you do lose that, right? But with the without having the cup, it's like a pen. It looks like a mechanical pen in my hand with with air, and you just have an unfettered view, which I really, really enjoy. And remember, we're moving around, guys. We're not staying in one place. And then let's see if we can start erasing just a little bit. Make sure that it's dry. Remember one of our paintings a while back ago? I think it was the one where we were painting Rosita, or the one right after Rosita, where we used, oh yeah, it was the Boxer Girl. And we erased when it was still a little wet, and we paid the price. It was a lot of work to get that off of there. Remember that, guys? So now I always make sure that that is not the case. And as you can see with this mono eraser, and the link is in the description of all the materials that I'm using, guys, this erases really well off of the paper. The paper is Canford cardstock. And let's see, can you guys see it? Let me just change the, okay, so it's Dreadnought Gray, and it's Canford cardstock by De La Rowney. You can get 10 sheets between $8 and $10, and it's a really good value. And I tell you, it works really well, especially with the erasing. And you just want to, when you erase, just do like a dagger stroke. You know, just fling it like that. You know, like that. You don't want to dig in, because the surface is something you want to preserve as pristine as possible throughout the painting progress. And as you can see, we're just sculpting a little bit, and we're just flinging that, and we're making sure that we're not rubbing too hard into that surface. Dreadnought Gray, yes, thank you so much, Wendy. Dreadnought Gray, it's called Canford cardstock, and about, yeah, a little over $8 for 10, exactly. Oh, so Rick, you said that you're not comfortable using it. And what Iwata is that you're using? Now, there are so many of them. He says, is there much difference between the Sotar and the Sotar Slim with regard to paint flow? I would think so. I know that the Sotar Slim, the one that I have, has a .20 nozzle and head assembly and needle. So that is, but I've never used the other Sotars. I'm hoping to. I'm hoping to get the opportunity to test them out for you guys, because I just, honestly, I love the design and everything about them. I wanted an airbrush that kind of looked cool and worked cool, and so that's, oh, the HP-SBS. Love that airbrush. That's a great airbrush. I have a couple of videos on my YouTube channel, Rick, on the SB. Actually, I have a unboxing and review of it, and I have a couple of paintings where I'm using it exclusively. James said he's never used an Iwata yet. So James, what airbrush are you currently using right now? Are you a Badger guy? Which is cool. And Wendy says, have you tried ink with the airbrush? Oh, right. Definitely, Rick. I want you to try the India ink with this, and try my mixture. And I think you're going to have a much better time. And I say this in almost every episode, Rick. when you're using thick paint, acrylic, it's not made for this. This and this don't go together. You have this little tiny nozzle, and then you have thick paint, and then you got to use reducers and mediums and to get it to work thin. This stuff, India Ink is perfect for it. So you're going to have a much better time. And you know, and you have the Ink Flingers community on the Facebook group. And if you have any questions, we're there for you. I'm there for you. And I think you're going to have a much better time with it. And we're actually going to slowly go into color as well. So you're not going to lose the ability to color. You're just going to lose the ability to get a whole lot of tip dry, which you don't need. James says he has about a dozen airbrushes, Harder and Steenbeck, Badger, Pachets. Nice. That sounds like a really great collection. Oh, man. So do you have the Talon? The Badger, the Pachet Talon? I've heard, you know, so many bad things about it, but I was wondering if anyone out there really likes it. Oh, yeah, James, me too. James says he loves working with the inks. Wendy loves the inks too. I agree. So I know it's a soft edge, but I just want to establish a little bit here, just to separate it just a little bit. Here, my subconscious is getting in the way, and I'm actually creating the white of the eye on the corner, but it's really not there. So Rick says he did with the Iwata use the ink, and how did you like the ink today? Did you like the flow of the ink more? So yeah, airbrush is not easy, and I think inks, when you're starting out, is the only way to go. Literally. I really feel that way. Now, I just went ahead and hit that, so I don't want to go in here because I think it might still be a little wet. I sure could use that glove right now, right guys? And we are just sketching still, so we're still using that 3:3. He says, James says that he mostly collects older Pachets. My brother had a Talon, and he didn't like it. Man, it looks cool, the Talon, but I'm going to stay away from that thing like the plague. Too many bad reviews. I haven't heard anyone who's enjoyed it, and that's not good. That's not good at all. And let's go ahead and establish the dark here. And you see this light shape here? And that light shape right there is what I'm alluding to on her cheek. So I am looking for the shape, the distance between the light, this light, and the nostrils, and where the break is. So you want to triangulate a lot. That's going to help your drawing out. So always triangulate. So looking here, right about here is where it starts. And just follow those shapes, both your negative shape and your positive shapes, and then you'll find exactly where that shape begins and ends, and in relation to other features. And then I'm just going to lose that edge into the background here. And notice when I'm looking for a blend, I move, see here, over here, in that little window to the left, you can see that I increased the distance to get more of a softer blend. So you can see we lasted a long time with the ink in the Sotar with just 2 drops. 1, 2, we're good. And the first couple of sprays, never on the artwork. Always check for tip dry. You get some tip dry, not much, but just a little. Willie, good to see you. How you been? How's everything? Wendy says, how do I change colors with the Sotar? Well, you just would clean it out. What I would do is, make sure you spray out all the other color, clean it out, remove the needle, wipe the needle, put the needle back, spray it some more, and then that should be fine. Usually when there's 2 separate colors, like a light and a dark, I'll usually fire up 2 airbrushes. That's what I usually do. So let's see. So it says here, Rick says here, I believe it covers, but it takes many coats and to change values. Is that with the inks? Is that, let me see. So I'm sort of missing the conversation here. Rick says he likes the ink so far. There hasn't been a surface that it hasn't covered on, but poster board. Yeah, I think poster board is probably a little slick, right? But I had no problem. You just have to, what you have to do when you have a really slick surface, you have to lower that air pressure. And probably not dilute it as much, but still, I think something as slick as poster board really isn't your ideal surface because you need some sort of tooth for this technique, some sort of texture, something to grab the ink with, you know? That's what I find in my travels. And as you can see, as I want to go ahead and get a blend, I just increase my distance from the surface, and then I get this beautiful blend. If I'm much closer to the surface when I'm painting, I am going to have a much harder time blending. Plus, it's still very light, so you're going to see everything. So that's going to blend just like your first coat when you paint the house, right? The walls, it's always going to be a mess. So let's see. Gesso board is great for an ink. You are so true, Rick. That is such a true statement. I did a lot of tests with that, and they all were very successful. I really do love it. I try it with different colors, using white as a base color, using a neutral gray as a base color, and it worked fantastic. A different look, a slightly different look. Let me see if I could show you, if I have them readily available. So here are 3 ink paintings done on masonite, prepared with marble dust. And as you can see, you have this beautiful texture. And it's on wood panel. And I use my gesso and marble dust mixture for this. But really, really nice. You could do things such as using frisket film and sandpaper, do some really beautiful techniques. So that's another. And then this one was very interesting. This one, I actually used orange as a base color. And after I used the orange India ink, then I went over it with white and gray and just got this really kind of fantastic warmth underneath that sort of shone through. So that was nice. So I definitely recommend working on board. Jacob, how you doing? Good to see you, man. How you been? So very cool. Glad to have you aboard there, Jacob. Now I heard Willie. Is Willie here? I haven't seen Willie. If Willie, if you're out there, how you doing? Let's see. I'm glad you're doing great there, Jake. So cool. So cool. Your painting is looking fantastic. He's doing his painting of Pennywise, that evil clown. It's looking really fantastic. He has this great, great photorealistic thing going. Very nice. He should be very proud. We got some people painting some incredible stuff here today. Kiva is just knocking it out of the park with her stuff. Unbelievable. And what we're doing also is making sure that I am getting dark enough. And I'm not looking, everything looks dark, but everything is much lighter the way it should be. We're just setting things up, setting value relationships, and then we're going to slowly get darker and darker as time goes on. Willie, good to see you. How you been, my friend? So cool. How's the Sotar going? Did you have some time to work with it this week? So with detail here, I'm going to get real close because I want to get that hard edge there. See that? Now we're going to come in and maybe use a freehand shield later, but we're still in the light stages, right? So we are going to make sure that we don't commit to anything just yet. And working light is really what it's about. If we're working much darker, we're going to have a mess. You know what I mean? We're going to get too dark too soon, and we're not going to be able to erase it. And unless we're just lucky as heck to nail it the first time, we're not going to have a good day. So stay light. Very beginning, 3 drops of India ink, 4 full eyedroppers of water. Second stage, 3 full eyedroppers of India ink and 3 full eyedroppers of water. Then we're going to go darker and darker. So let's see. So Rick says, Kiva, your work is fantastic. I believe and concur with that. And Jake, you worked with the Sotar today. I'm so glad you're liking it. So Jay has the other kind of Sotar. Now, what's the needle assembly on that one? Making sure I'm not erasing too hard, guys. But as you can see, look at the difference between the white that we established with the white India ink and the paper, and how we can use the gradation by taking the white and then using the paper color and then going into the dark. Much more artful way, much more of a chess player's approach to painting. So working 7 moves ahead, right? Willie said, yes, he did. It's amazing how good it is for the price. That is so true, guys. That is so true. Yesterday morning, I was using the Sotar, and today, just having, and I was telling everyone, I'm live streaming, right? So I can't afford to mess up, but I had confidence that the Sotar was going to work, and it didn't let me down. We've been on live streams when my Iwata was like, it's not working, guys. We've been there, done that, right? Wendy says, cookies and chess. I think I'm going to sneeze. I feel it coming on. Let's hope it doesn't happen. I don't want to sneeze on live stream. Kiva says, hey Wendy, she's using a micron, haven't tried many, but she loves it. And thank you, Rick. Yes, so are you using the side feed micron or the gravity fed? I have both of them. Love them both. Although my side feed micron is out of commission right now. The nozzle broke when it sort of fell into the sink. That was so sad because I was cleaning out the nozzle cap and then it just fell. And then just ever so gently hit the side of the porcelain sink and bink, it was over. I think it's like 40 bucks. I'm going to be out. So I just haven't pulled the trigger. I've been doing some other things with my money, such as getting a tablet for some. Actually, I got a tablet for Christmas. I got a tablet today for my birthday from my sister, my mom, and my brother-in-law, which was very cool. I have one for both studios now, which is fantastic. Learned about layers and stuff like that. And I want you to notice how I'm moving around, right? I'm not staying in one spot. That is very crucial, and I can't stress that enough, that you want to move around. And you also want to save your table. So if I'm doing the bottom, I'm always going to... so this is a little bit of a skew. Let me go ahead and fix this. Let's see. This is always kind of weird to do. Let's see. It's like backwards in a sense. That looks pretty good, right guys? Okay, cool. So, Willie says, let it out, Tim. Just aim away from the artwork. That's right. That is. I get a very, very upset. It's a horrible feeling when that happens. So that's much better, right? It's not all askew. Thanks, Wendy. Wendy says that the stream looks good. How's the resolution? I mean, is it oversaturated? Does it need a color shift? What do you guys think? Is the color fine? You guys are my eyes because I'm not actually on the live stream. I'm doing the live stream, but not actually on it. Otherwise, there'll be this sort of interference, double sound. It would be horrible. Oh, great, Wendy. Thank you. And in the picture, she had a shirt on, but I'm taking that off. And as you can see, when I'm doing a smooth blend, you can see by the side window how I move further away from the surface. And the further I move away, the actual lighter and softer the blend will be. So that's what I mean by painting in 3 dimensions. As I want to work darker, I just go closer to the surface. Now, here we have this pencil line, which is still there from the original drawing. So we're going to do our best to remove it. It's still going to be there somewhat, but we want to make that light. Wendy says, I do an awesome job. Thank you so much. I'm a one-man band, so usually once a stream, this thing freezes, and I know just what to do because it happened so many times. That's the thing with live streams, I think. Alex, how you doing? From the Netherlands. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much, Alex, for stopping by. Wow, that is so cool. Thank you, Alex. So how are you today over there? So that is so great. I'm so excited. I love it when new people join. It makes the whole experience that much richer. Just a larger group, more experiences, more people trying new things, the more we learn, right? Now, Kneaded Eraser. This is where we're going to go with some larger areas, guys, okay? And we're just going to maybe just establish some of the details in the shadows. Remember, you have your lights and you have your darks, your shadow areas. And there's going to be detail in those shadow areas because it's not black, but the detail's going to be quiet like a whisper. So remember, there's still details in the shadow, but they're quiet, whisper shadows. Alex says it's 4:30 in the morning. Wow, that's early. Thank you so much. It's an honor that you are watching our live stream this early in the morning. We do have some really cool members from the Netherlands. Dion is one, and I know that Gaston is, I think he's in Luxembourg, which is in Europe. So we do have quite a number of European members of our community. A lot of them watch them the morning after, the day after, because it's on so early for you guys. So as you can see, we're just very, very quietly putting in some of these details in the shadows. Pretty soon we're going to start with the deeper mixture. Now, here we have sort of a loss. We have a distinct edge here, but over here it sort of goes away, guys. So we want to make sure that we try and get rid of that edge here. We subconsciously always try to put edges on things, edges on lips, edges on eyes, but there are times where they sort of blend in with the face and the shadows, right? So Alex is in the future. That's right. We're yesterday, Alex, and you're in tomorrow. That's very astute there, Super Killer. Very good. And that's so true. He is in tomorrow. So James Hayward says, does he drive a DeLorean? One of my favorite movies, right? The first one, that is, which is, you know, Back to the Future. And I'm just going to establish that that sort of windowsill of the bottom eyelid. That's the only thing I can really call it. I'm not sure what it is. So here we have a very, very subtle shape on her cheek there. And we don't want it to be too long. Too long and she's going to look old, and we don't want that. So we're going to shorten that up, making sure that's dry, of course. I probably went into it a little bit early. Should have waited a little bit longer. And then we can establish the chin as it starts protruding away from the bottom lip, just below the bottom lip. And then we just see where it starts. And you can see we're just being ever so soft edge at this point. Plenty of time to go hard edge, guys. So you want to start light and soft in the beginning. And then as you go slowly darker and sharper. So that's a good way to look at it, right? James says, if the shadow beside her nose is the shadow besides her nose too long? This one right here or this one here? This one might be, and I'm just going to continue to adjust that as we go. And the good thing is that it's still light, so if we do see that it's really too long, it's easily fixable. It's not too dark. But thanks, James, for keeping out on that. It could be. And there is a shape, a cast shadow. See, because the light is coming this way. So with that being said, there is a cast shadow. And it's very interesting. Sort of coincides with the light hitting the Cupid's bow here. And then you have, so the light is basically hitting all her features, and that's what we're basically doing that. Let's see. So Wendy says, will she get younger if she does that? If you go to Europe and you watch, no, I don't know. I think you're young already, Wendy. Let's see. So Willie says, Tim, I really like the way one side just fades away. It looks like a little creepy, almost like Lizzie Borden. Yes, it does. It has a little bit of a disturbing quality. And I think the pose is a little bit disturbing, and that's what I was going for when I seen it. Just the subtlety of vulnerability. And that's what I really wanted to express in this piece. So that's what drew me to the pose from the very beginning. So thank you for that, Willie. And we're going to make lots of adjustments, and I'm just going to go ahead and put some more ink in the Sotar here, 2 drops. Wendy says, paint an axe in the background. That would be scary. I'll do it with digital painting. Wendy says, that's why her first portrait looks like a spirit. I just need to work on it more. Yeah, you got to continue going, continue working from light to dark. And you'll get there. It will evolve. Don't worry how it looks in the early stages. Sometimes that might be what you're looking for, that wispy sort of ghostly look. Might be exactly the best way to express what you're trying to say. That's happened to me. And we're just going to slowly darken this area. There we go. But we still have some nice shadows going on. Wendy says her painting looks possessed. That's scary. That's funny. And that looks dark, but that's going to lighten up as we go ahead and establish more darks here and there. And you can see I'm moving further away from the surface, not really making sure I'm moving. I don't really go over the same spot twice. Plenty of time to go back over again and smooth out. Just creating atmosphere at this point. And let's see, so we have, so Rick says portraits are not his strong suit. That's okay, you know, and you know, this is not only just about portraits, just about, you know, using the India ink, you know, that's why, you know, there's different subject matter for all artists, right? You know, one of my favorite painters was George Innes, and he just does landscape. He's a 19th century painter in the New Jersey, New York area. Just did some amazing landscapes, and you know, he hardly painted figures, and I think he's an amazing artist. So, you know, it's okay, you know, paint what you really love, you know, that's what's important. And if you want to do portraits, you know, this is a great channel, but also great channel to get information on other subject matter, whether it be landscapes or animals. So you're doing that really incredible wolf, which I really enjoy. Gets a little darker here. There we go. So we're creating some interest in that forehead, not just interest, but things that are going on anatomically. Now I have the air pressure set at 25 psi, but I'm using the MAC valve to lower that significantly. So I would say between 10 and 15 is probably where I'm at. And let's see, so Rick says landscapes, which are perfect, and I think that's great. James does, and horses, Rick says. James says he wants to paint ocean liners, and he says he gets that effect when he spills the paint. That's too funny. You guys are hilarious. And then Wendy says, what about oil spills? So that's pretty hilarious. It's pretty funny. Yeah, I've been painting portraits since I was a kid, you know. That was what I gravitated towards, like, almost immediately. So it's just my temperament, right? And some artists just do beautiful still lives, and that's fantastic too. Let's go ahead and hit a freehand shield here because it's a little hard-edged right here. So you want to cover where you don't want to paint. So I want to paint over here, so that's why I'm covering here. And that always helps me out. So it just was a little hard edge there, so I want to make sure that I hit that just to establish it. And that lower lip does look dark, but we're going to catch up. And we're just sketching. And that's the great thing about airbrush is that you can just sketch. And then we're going to come in with a liner brush and really, you know, work on our drawing. Let's make some adjustments here and there. So James says, here's a tip: don't paint a black horse. James says his girlfriend loves horses, so I'd love to paint her. So he'd love to paint her one. He tried one and looked horrible. Now, the thing is, you know who's wonderful at horses? She can give you amazing tips. Is Kiva. You should see some of her horse paintings. They're amazing. She just really is quite the painter of horses. Unbelievable. So I'm not sure where I want the edge sort of totally fall into the background. So what I'm doing is just slowly building in very loose details on this side, and then there's going to be sharp details on the light side. And what I'm going to do is just very, very softly make sure that I didn't go. Well, I have a tendency to make eyebrows smaller and thinner. That's my proclivity, and I don't know, it's always been. So I always overcompensate by making them thicker than they should be. So I need to make that eyebrow a little bit thicker on the bottom. There we go. Heat says, cats are fun, but he has to try a horse. That's going to be cool. I'd love to see Ink Flinger's horse challenge. Wouldn't that be something? We should all try that. It doesn't have to be an India ink though. It could be whatever, but preferably an India ink. Let's see where. Oh, we still got a little bit. When you're running out of ink with the Sotar, make sure you, if you feel it, blow out the rest of it and put more ink in, just to make sure. Also, there is a little bug that landed in my ink. So when that happens, you want to make sure you stick him on the side. You don't want him clogging up your airbrush. A little tiny bug. Like a little fly or something. In December, right? You would think there would be no more flies left. Heat says, Kiva is amazing with horses and everything else. I agree. Wow. And Wendy says, nay. That's really funny. Let's see. Jake says, have I studied Drew Sturgeon's work before? It's basically everything you're doing right now, but mixed together. No, I haven't actually. Let's go ahead and make sure we test out the airbrush off the surface when we do our initial. There we we go. Now what we can do is start darkening some areas to create a little contrast. Like her eyebrows are darker on this side than over here because it's turning towards the light, and this is turned not directly away from the light, but is turned indirectly away. Same thing with this eyelid, it's sort of turning away. Jake says that he draws on mid-tone paper first, airbrushes local color to colorize it, and then renders it with colored pencils. That's good stuff. Yeah, he uses a lot of different techniques, and that's really cool. So yeah, that's definitely got to check out his work. Sounds fantastic. Okay, so I just wanted a little bit of a hard edge right here. So I used my freehand shield just to hit that and sort of create a little bit. Now, over here, we can see, which you want to constantly gauge your painting, right? So what I'm doing, even though this is a lighter version of this, is that I just want to make sure that my angles are correct. So this is almost straight up and down, maybe going a little bit towards 11 o'clock. I'm there, and then it comes in kind of harshly here, so I can come in a little harshly here. And with the eraser, I could pretty much sculpt it away still. See that? So I can make some adjustments here as I go. So this way, you know, you are just making sure you're not going off in the wrong direction. And that's going to happen. We just want to pull back whenever we can. Jake says, Pennywise is because of him, and so you're able to do it. That's fantastic, man. That's great. Now, we're going to get into color, guys, here. We're going to do it slowly. And also, we're going to start colorizing just a little bit, maybe some pinks here and there, something like that. And then we'll go into my color theory as how I would work. And I always work opaquely. I'm not a transparent guy. Here we're working in transparent glazes, it's different. But when I work in color, I add white to it, and then I work with... yeah, I did see that, but I didn't like that. I just thought that was a little trite, so I did not want it. Plus, it looks like it was done in Photoshop, so I didn't like it at all. So the fact that I took that out actually, to me, makes it a little more profound. But that's only my decision. Okay, so let's see here. See if we could just try and establish the highlight on that eye there, and the same thing here. We're not going to use white early. You use white at the very, very end, meaning highlights, not this nice, beautiful light area, but when we use those powerful highlights, that's at the end. So you have to build up to that. Same thing with your darkest darks, guys. You want to build up to your darkest darks. I don't want to see black anywhere until you start getting into a full rendered area. And we will establish some darks here and there just to sort of key the values. But we're working as the old masters would work. We're not going to dissect every little area and work every little area. We're creating a whole, right? So we're sort of if we're playing chess, we're looking at the whole chessboard. If you're going to just look at one area in chess, one area chessboard, a good chess player is going to tear you apart. So that's why you want to sort of always assess the whole. And that's what we're doing right now. So as we are working the whole, guys, we're able to have relationships. we're able to say, okay, this area is light over here. Then we have another area here. Is it light as that? Oh, maybe it's just a little bit darker. And then we'll see that this area is light, and as light as here, but lighter than this area. And you can see we're going to be able to make this nose sort of turn and become three-dimensional. That is understanding three dimensions, understanding light and what we're painting. I hope that makes sense, guys. Now, I'll tell you where I'm coming from for those who are new. Everyone knows my story of my New York City art education. When I was 15 years old, I got into the High School of Art and Design in New York City, and I studied with Erwin Greenberg and learned how to paint from life using oil paints. So at 15, that was really fantastic. I learned old master techniques from Erwin Greenberg and Max Ginsberg, pretty famous artists out there. Then, after graduation, I went and studied art history at Long Island University, learned about different artists throughout history. And that helped me because it taught me or shown me what I want to do with my artistic life. Who do I want to paint in the same genre? And then it was the 19th century French neoclassical painters, Jean-Auguste Dominique Ingres, Jacques-Louis David, those guys. And they were doing exactly what I liked, which was a detailed drawing and underpainting, and then painting over that with opaque and transparent glazes. Just fantastic. So with that, I went and studied at the National Academy School of Fine Arts. I got a scholarship there in New York City, and then I learned even deeper how to work with oils and pastel. Then I was like a pastel artist for a long time, got pretty well known in the pastel industry. Haven't touched an airbrush yet, guys. So 25 years into this, one day, maybe about 5, 6 years ago, I watched a video on airbrush and I was like, wow, wouldn't that be great to do an airbrush underpainting for my pastel painting? And I was like, that would be fantastic. So for about 5 years, I've been doing India ink underpaintings for my pastel paintings and my airbrush paintings in acrylic. So I would say about 6 months ago, I said to myself, what if I just did a fully realized painting using India ink on paper? So this is where we are, and I found out that you can do some really cool things. So I am not your average airbrush artist. I sort of had a circuitous route to the airbrush. So that's basically where I am in a nutshell. So we want to make sure that this eyeball and this eyeball are pretty much the same size. It's really important. But it's so loose, right? We're just going to, a lot of times, we're just going to suggest stuff. But as you can see, we're able to really start to get an emotion, a desired emotion that we're looking for. So we do have a little bit of a hard edge here, which we're going to sort of soften up. So Kiva says she loves the old master techniques. Yes, and that's basically where my techniques are born from. I learned a lot from airbrush painters out there. Jonathan Pantaleone, Drew Blair, Cass Fuller is like my airbrush mentor, David Morton, and those guys really helped me. And Kent Lind is also a hero of mine in the airbrush. So for 5 years, a lot of the airbrush guys sort of took me under their wing and sort of helped me out with a lot of techniques and everything. So that's one of the reasons why I like giving back right now. And just realizing that the difference between someone drawing an airbrush away and becoming a really good airbrush artist is just someone showing them and helping them to have patience with themselves that they can do it. So I want you to reconsider, and we'll make it so that Rick, that eclipse is going to be fun again. Trust me. So we'll get you going, and when the funds allow, get yourself that beautiful Sotar Slim. Rick says, could you use the smooth side of pastel paper for ink paintings? Of course, definitely. Whatever the paper is, you just have to be economic with it, with the surface. Meaning you have to make sure that you don't overload it. And you have to see the surface. So if you're going to be working on Bristol board, which is very, very smooth, you have to paint a certain way. I'm going to show you guys something. So here are some sketchbooks, and what the sketchbooks show is that is a variety of surfaces. This one here is on Bristol vellum, and I did an example using Bristol vellum, which is a lot different than the paper I'm using. So I did this one, and that was on Bristol vellum using a sepia airbrush. Now look how small this is, so I really had to get in there. Now this was done with my Eclipse, the side feed that you have, which was really good. But this is very, very thin, so you can see that you have to be pretty careful. This is another sketch pad. This is just basically regular paper, but I was able to actually work with a little bit easier. So here are some examples of using the sketch pad of just like regular paper, almost like inkjet paper. So you're able to do a little bit more with this than the vellum. So you see here, this is all airbrush. And yes, that is so great to paint on regular. And James says he's going to watch this again. It's going to be live streamed, so I mean it's going to be on my YouTube channel, so you can watch it over and over again, James, definitely. So this was another one, and you can see that with working on the different papers, you can do different things. So then I have one more. And this one is between the vellum and the regular sketch pad. So you can see you can do some really cool things. Thanks so much, Wendy. Thank you, Rick. I appreciate that. I just wanted to show you guys the difference. And then right here, this is actually a video on YouTube, but I did this one. So there's actually a couple parts on that, so you can see that. I will be right back, guys. Just talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. So thank you so much, guys. I appreciate that. Thank you. Just had to use a little boy's room there, and I am back. So Thank you so much. Willie says he loves my work. I appreciate that. Someone moved a painting. That's funny. Thanks, James. I appreciate that as well. I really appreciate all your wonderful comments, and I really wanted to show you what was possible with all the different different papers. You just have to approach it differently, that's all. Then we're going to shape this eyebrow here. Now, it sort of turns almost at the end here, so I want to make sure that I get that shape and angle correct, which will be crucial in getting that expression. And we're going to constantly move that around and keep checking. And then here it's darker where her hair. So as you can see, we're just looking for relationships here. Then it's lighter right here. And then we have right where the eyebrow sort of starts, we have a pretty harsh skin going in. There's the forehead sort of moving into the hair area. I just want to indicate that. And in the early going, look how easy it is to erase in the early going, right? Kiva says, hey Tim, why do I like P.H. Martin's best? It's because it's more pigmented? No, actually, I like the P.H. Martin as far as colors best because it erases much better. That's the only reason. I don't think the colors make that much of a difference as saturation. They're beautiful, don't get me wrong, but I do like the way they erase. So far, they're the best in the colors. Now, I haven't tried Higgins yet as far as theirs. I'm going to give Higgins a call. Maybe they can send me a set and I could really try those colors out for you. But as far as the white, so far this is the best one because it doesn't really create that film where you can't erase over it. Not as good as the India ink, but still, you know, pretty good. Let's say Wendy says cause they are purty. That's pretty funny. You guys are funny. Heath says thanks Bill, got both those, but both I'd like to hold out. Let's see what let's see here. The marble dust, yes. He says regular gesso will allow you to work on board. Actually, with the marble dust, it really is going to create a really wonderful surface, Heath. Yes, and I do agree that plain gesso will work, but there's something about that marble dust that really just grabs the India ink, guys, and I think you're going to love it. I also love it working with regular acrylic paint too. The marble dust really works well. Now it's a little harsh here, but I'm going to go back on that. I'm going to let it dry because you don't want to erase where it's wet. It's going to tear. That's what I mean by really worrying about the economy of the paper. You don't want to tear it up. Especially in the early going, you have nowhere to go if you tore up the paper. So you want to keep the paper as pristine as possible as far as the surface layers. Okay, so you can see how we're starting to get that reflected light here. That's just beginning. It's just in the early stages, but we are establishing some of these subtleties and value relationships. We're going to go darker, but the relationships are going to stay the same. So that's what we're working on. Hey Bill, how you doing? Bill says he has a ton of homemade gesso board, and as soon as he gets some inks, he's going to try it on Terra Slate, also done with all my paint jobs for this year. Oh, that's great, Bill. So now you get to paint on your own stuff, which is fantastic. Paint jobs are great, right, Kiva? But jobs you do for yourself. Now that's the spice of life. I just love experimenting, guys. Always experimenting. Wendy has the sets, and the white is the only one that is strange. Yes, you know why, Wendy? Because it's the only one that's opaque. And when I work in opaque India inks, we're going to go over exactly how I mix the white into all my colors to some degree. And I think that's really going to really be a lot of fun and very interesting for all of us. You guys are going to love it. Okay, so let's see if we can go ahead and do just a little bit of freehand shield here on her eyelid, just to get some of that hard edge there. And what you can do is you can just crawl along. You know, you're just hitting one part of that contour. So you're just crawling along the surface, hitting it there, moving, hitting it there. That's the way. Sometimes it's rare to actually have, you know, a perfect edge that fits the contour of what you're actually trying to paint. That doesn't always happen. So remember we painted this here and I wasn't quite happy with it, so I was going to erase it. So now it's dry and now I'm not going to kill the surface. So that's a very crucial thing. So you don't, when you're working with paper, please be very economical with, economical, is that correct? I don't know how to say it. And when working with that paper. And this is the Daler Rowney, so I really recommend the cardstock because what you're seeing is exactly the kind of things you're going to run into, both good and bad. If you try different papers, you're going to have a complete new set of rules. So proceed with caution when that happens, but definitely experiment. And definitely want to know your findings. And even when you're working with this particular paper, I would love to know on the Ink Flingers group site what you guys think of it. What were your advantages, disadvantages, your likes, your loves, that sort of thing. And that will help me out and everyone in the group. It's all about teaching each other, right? And then right here, see, we're going to extend that. See, it doesn't go in as much. So, see, it's so great that we're working with that very thin mixture. Because if we were going too dark, that would look crazy at this point. But since we're so light with our mixture, we can do these real subtleties and have confidence that down the line when we darken everything, that's just going to look so beautiful and so subtle. So remember, very much starting out, you're going to do 3 drops of India ink, 4 drops of full eyedroppers of water. Then when you go into this stage, you're going to do 3 eyedroppers of India ink and only 3 eyedroppers of water. So it's a little bit darker, not much, but you're covering what's underneath as well. So you're sort of creating a hierarchy of layers. So that's good too. Let's see, Willie says he's looking forward to seeing that. That's so cool, thank you. And he says, he sprays his men, actually Bill says to Heath that he sprays his gesso, although my sprayer is big, then I sand it down, which is very cool. You're going to get a beautiful surface that way, Bill, that's for sure. And then James says, TerraSlate seems to be a very good paper to use. Great. And then Wendy says, Tim, what happens when you use alcohol with India inks? Will they set forever? They will do weird stuff. Ah, boy, they are going to disintegrate and go to the surface. It's pretty cool special effects, but not when we're doing realism. But definitely, Wendy, that's something to experiment with, I think. I think it's always good to go outside the box, always good to try something new. Remember that when you go to an art store, not an art store, but even a bookstore, library, who are the books on? The books on guys like Monet and Rembrandt, Caravaggio, the painters who've done things differently, who were the trailblazers. Those are the ones that get remembered. So always be affected by artists, but always invent on your own. You never know, you might just start a whole new craze, a whole new art movement. So it's pretty exciting. Here we go. Okay, so before I even start coming in with my liner brush. Now, the liner brush that I use, but I'm not going to do it now, I'm just going to show newer people the liner brush that I use. And it's in the description field. You can actually purchase this. It's an affiliate link. This is, let's see if I'm going to focus on this for you guys. This is a Winsor & Newton #1 Cotman 333 rigger brush. And it's great because with these long bristles, you're able to get just some beautiful details. You would just really be surprised at the detail you're able to achieve with that. It really is great. So that's going to be fantastic. So what we're going to do is down the line, and it becomes a real nice point. This becomes a beautiful point when we go ahead and dip that into India ink. What I'm going to do is I have my 3-to-3 mixture. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do let's see, so we have 3-to-3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a 3-to-2 mixture. That's going to be 3 drops of India ink and just 2 drops, full eyedroppers of water. So let's go ahead and move our artwork away from the table there. We don't want that to happen. And let's see. Wendy says, I don't think, let's see what you guys, so, okay, let's see what's going on here. So it says here that James says, no wonder you're having trouble, Wendy. The vodka goes in the ink. That kind of alcohol. That's pretty funny. And Kiva's laughing, and let's see. That is hilarious. You guys are too funny. That's, yeah, could you imagine? Yeah, let me see what bourbon does with this, right? I wonder how it's going to react. Okay, so let's get back to business here. So we have our water, and then we get a fresh cup right here, and we're going to do 3-to-2 ratio. So we're going to do 9 and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we'll do 12 and 8. Okay, that sounds right. You know, it's hard to do math for me, guys. Okay, so we're going to do 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like Sesame Street, guys. Too funny. Okay, so now we have a little bit of a darker mixture, and now when we start working, we're going to just start layering even more and getting closer to that. Wendy says, don't drink the water. Did you know, guys, when I was in junior high school, I paid a kid 25 cents to drink the watercolor water? And he drank it, but he put it in his mouth and he spit it out. So I gave him the quarter anyway. I thought he deserved it. What do you guys think? All right, so let's go ahead and dump out the remaining of the 3-to-3 ratio. And now we have the 3-to-2 ratio. And we're going to go ahead and put 2 eyedroppers of India ink in there. The difference is subtle, guys. but it is there. So we're just going to be very lightly darkening things up. So of course we're going to test out the airbrush not on the surface. So you can see it's a little bit darker. See that? Just a little bit. And now we're just going to continue sculpting. Not oversaturating the surface. So we went a little bit there. We're going to move away a little bit. We want a softer look. We're going to be further away. That's going to help. Let the airbrush do a lot of the work, you know, as far as edges and everything. Learn how to use that airbrush to do that. And little by little you see that she's sort of coming together. And then we can sort of darken those reflected. As we darken this, we realize that the reflected light is actually darker. That's that shadow here. So light is not hitting this nostril, but it's getting a lot of reflected light bouncing off of her fulcrum here, or widow's, Cupid's bow. That's what it is. Okay, so let's see what's going on about the vodka. One drop for the airbrush, one drop for So Bill says, can you all tell me how to get to Sesame Street? I think we're right here, Bill. And Electric Company was actually pretty cool. Let's see. Kiva says, nope, no rainbows. Maybe it's unicorn magic. Too funny. You guys are hilarious today. You got some funny conversations going on. That's good, man. It's about having fun, right? Day to day is too serious, so let's just take it easy and have fun. As you can see, it's just sort of, she's just sort of coming together a little bit, which is nice. And as you can see, as I'm going ahead and wanting that blend, I'm actually pulling further away from the surface, and I get a much softer approach. But you can see that with this darker mixture, it's a lot less forgiving. So as you get darker, you have to be pretty much a little more sure of your moves. Same thing here. This is very light, so I'm going to darken this. Soften that eye. There we go. And then we can see that if I want to soften it more, see how far away from the surface I am, and I soften this area. And then as I'm softening it, I can actually darken this shadow plane. It's a harder edge, I'll go further, and as it gets softer, I can maintain the darkness by maybe pulling back a little bit more as I go further away. So I can be softer and maintain that particular value. If I stay with the same pressure back and then move back, it's going to be lighter. But as I move back and pull back a little bit more as I'm pumping. Now, oh, Rick, thank you. He says it looks great. I appreciate that. Oh, thank you so much. Wendy says that Tim is a master. He can talk to us and paint. Thank you, Wendy. I appreciate that. Really appreciate that. James says it's like you just paint and all of a sudden it's a face. You guys see Kiva's little mixed painting yet? I haven't seen Kiva's mixed painting yet. I gotta see that. So everyone's saying nice things about the painting. That's so cool. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. And he says, for me, it's Scotch, but doesn't go in the ink. That's right, man. When you have Scotch, you got to make sure none of that goes in the ink. You got to have that for yourself. So I'm just gonna show you guys. Okay. So right now we have this distance here. You see that? How it's this dark? But now watch if I go further away, you get this darkness. But at this distance, I can still get this color if I go ahead and maybe pull back a little further. So, you know, you can get the same values just in different ways. You have to use it in a different way. You know, you have to adjust. So let the airbrush do the work for you guys. One of the things I love is, so let's say you're doing this, right? And you want to do a nice fade. One way to do it is to just like really go light like this. And look how tiny, watch this. Another way to do it is just go like that. Let the airbrush do it, right? So I hope you guys can see that. It's kind of high-keyed. So you guys are funny. All right, so I'm gonna make sure that this is nice and dry before I put the painting on top of it, because that would be horrible. It's all about preserving this surface, guys. That's what it's all about today. Well, every day when working with paper. Seems like we're not getting far, guys, but we really are, because it's just building to that part where we start going much darker and then hit the highlight and then psh, it's just so nice when it comes together. So the majority of your work is going to be here in the trenches of the midtones. And then the payoff is the glamorous part when you put in the highlights and the darkest dark. That's the glamorous part of the painting. See, right here we have some real subtlety here. So I'm going to be real far away, and I'm just going to hit this ever so slowly. So when we go darker and lighter, this is going to actually even up, but I just wanted to hit that value. And look how far away I was to get this softness that was desired. If you're really far away, guys, you're not going to have a hard edge. So remember, if you're trying to get softness this close, it's not going to work. You're going to get it far away by, you know, making sure your dilution is maybe 3 to 3 or 3 to 4, and be far away, and you can hit that real soft shadow in the face. So remember that. That's going to be helpful when you're doing your own stuff. So let's see what's going on here. Let's see. Yes, you have Tim and a person appeared on paper. Kiva says, not getting far. Tim, you have transformed it. Thank you. Bill says, I am too, but Rick, I'm just encouraging a fight. Uh-oh. You guys are hilarious. Bill, you're too much. So we're going to start moving in that hair. And I think we're running out of ink. But it really feels like pencil, and that's one of the things I really love about this technique, of how it feels like pencil. And then when you come in with the darkest darks and the lightest light, it feels like paint. So I love it, and it has its own look. So many reasons to go ahead and try this method, guys. And I think you're going to love it. It's going to transform your airbrush to something that you have incredible control over, and you're not worrying about tip dry. You're not worrying about clogging of the airbrush. You're just going to have fun. Enjoy and learn how to use the airbrush. Uh, James says just what he was saying. He does nothing, 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 and then oh wow. Thanks, guys. Yes, all in good fun, laughing out loud. Kiva says painting is more fun when you have a buddy. It's so true. And Wendy says would be more fun painting with a buddy. Well, that's why you guys have me. I'm your painting buddy. So, and each other. That's why I created that group, you know. So painting could be a very isolating thing, especially if you don't live with artists. We speak a different language, am I right? Hey, I just got this new cadmium red. People look at me like, yeah, and I'm like, you don't understand. Cadmium red is really expensive and it's perfect. You know, nope, they don't understand. So that's why we have this group. That's why we have these live streams and you know, just so we can hang out and talk about art. That was the main reason for this. An artist community. Wendy said we should all live together. That would be a cool place, I'll tell you that much. Be a lot of compressors going off all over the place. We'd have to get one big huge compressor. I wonder if there was ever an airbrush artist community. Wouldn't that be funny, guys? See here now we're just going, I'm going to go ahead and keep her contour here. Now this part is not projected. I'm drawing with the airbrush, guys. So that's what you definitely want. Wendy says, wear earmuffs with all those compressors. That's too funny, guys. We're going to go ahead and extend that hair out, but there's no rush to that, that's for sure. So we have some nice hard edges here in the hair, in the ear, I should say. Remember what I mentioned last week, how important it is to actually not follow the contour when you're doing something like this, but to pull that way, and then you get something that really looks like a harder edge in space. And Willie says, never want to put anything else in my airbrush after painting with ink. Everything else is like mud. Amen to that, Willie. It's so true. It is such a great discovery we have that we could really enjoy our airbrushes and have a medium that is complementing to the airbrush, not something we have to fight. So I agree with you 100%, Willie. We're going to go ahead and really start putting detail. There's really hardly any detail here. It's all value. And then we're going to come in and do some linear work next week and really start to make this painting start to evolve, getting close to our finished state. Just softening this area here. Just indicating the pupil. And introducing some of the value changes in the lips. That seems harsh right now, but it really isn't. Everything else is too light. We may adjust, but we really don't have to. We can actually catch that up, catch everything else up around it. As long as we recognize that that's a little dark right now, but it isn't. That's actually the value we want it to be. So we can actually leave that to key it, to key those values. Hey, Casuto, ¿cómo estás? Muchísimas gracias. Oh, Casuto, ¿de dónde estás? In Japan or in Sudamerica? So that's cool. We have someone from Europe here, and we have oh, sí, Casuto, yo estoy aprendiendo la lengua. So guys, I am speaking Spanish to Casuto, which is pretty cool. So we have a bilingual live stream going on. So cool. So I'm starting. Gracias. Gracias a ti por mostrar tu trabajo. So she's saying thank you so much to me for showing my work. El placer es mío, Casuto. Tú eres arte también. Tú eres artista también. Oh, Colombia, buen país. Yo tengo muchos amigos y amigas de Colombia. So I just said basically that I have a lot of friends in Colombia because that's where Casuto is from. And James said, agua frias, por favor. Cold water. That's funny. Estoy muy contento que tú estás aquí, Casuto. So I just let her know that I'm so happy that she's here. So that is so great. Hola, Gloria, ¿cómo estás? Estoy muy contento tú estás aquí también. Oh, Casuto, so tú estás pintando in digital. So Casuto told me that she actually paints digitally. And now I am meeting a lot of digital artists because I'm starting to get into and learning digital painting, guys. So this is so cool, guys. James says he knows only a little Spanish, which is good. That's fantastic. Muchísimas gracias, Casuto. Estoy aprendiendo la lengua y yo tengo que practicar mucho más. Pero me encanta arte digital. Tim says, my teacher, yes, Casuto could teach me how to do digital artwork. That's so great. Casuto, ¿tú tienes un canal de YouTube en español? And now I am just darkening things up a bit. Now if you look, things look a little rough right now, right guys? They're not as smooth and everything, but we're just in that stage of when we're making cookies and it's sort of like half cooked and half not cooked and you can't eat it, it's not cookie dough anymore and they're not cookies yet. That's exactly where we are right now. Willie said he thought he was getting a little tired and it wasn't understanding English. You accidentally hit the SAP in on the button and you were getting the English to Spanish translation. That's funny, Willie. James says, came here to learn Airbrush and learn Spanish too. You never know what you're going to get in my live stream, guys. You never know what you're going to get. It's too funny. So Oh, Casuto, muchísimas gracias también. So this is really good. So guys, we hit 1:30, and so the 2 hours go by so fast. At my job, 2 hours go by like like this. And then here goes like that. So that's the difference. Well, I hope you guys had a great enjoyed this live stream, and I really enjoyed my time with you guys. We did a lot today, right? We got some stuff done, I think. So I think we're doing okay, and we're just gonna continue working on it and get darker and darker. So we're gonna next time we come back, we're gonna go with the three to two, 3 eye drops of India ink to 2 drops of water, and then we're gonna slowly get darker and darker until we get here. And this is 24 drops of India ink and 9 full eyedroppers of water. When that happens, then we're gonna go really dark, and then at the end, the coup de grace is gonna be the white pastel. And that's just gonna make everything explode and pop. It's gonna be fantastic. So, guys, thank you so much. I hope you all have a great week. Take care of yourselves. Casuto, estoy muy contento y mucho gusto en conocerla. I just said very happy to meet you. New members, thank you so much for coming by and talking with us. You guys were great. My regulars, thank you so much. And let's all meet up on my Facebook chat, Ink Flingers. It's a group, inkflingers.com. Wendy, would you go ahead and type that in, Ink Flingers group? Let me see if I could put that in. If not, that's cool. So take care of yourselves, guys. I hope you have a great week. Don't worry, this full live stream is going to be on the YouTube channel and also on my blog, which is going to be up there as well. Take care of yourselves, guys. Have a great rest of the week and a great weekend.